I don't know.
You seem a little disappointed.
I am disappointed. Crazy Stupid Podcast.
Thank you so much for tuning in. If this is your first time watching, we'd love it if you could hit the like button, the subscribe button, and the bell so that you are aware of when we post things.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Crazy Stupid Podcast. My name is Esther.
And I'm Adrian.
And today we're going to talk about Daredevil, the finale, and just like the season as a whole.
I guess I'm curious, what did you think of the full season? I guess we'll do that because doing episode by episode, we were trying to do it, but there were moments where it was like, we don't really know what to say at the end of at least one or two episodes.
I would say it wasn't like the episodes were bad, but for the type of content that we make, there just wasn't much material.
Yeah.
I liked the whole season.
Yeah.
I think the first two episodes gave me the impression that the season was going to focus really heavily on themes that were introduced, and we talked about those themes. Like we talked about gentrification. We talked about, what does justice look like and safety and all those things. And I feel like what happened was as soon as he became Daredevil again, it was just like, poof, we're done. And then I think because of that, we lost opportunities that we could have had to delve deeper into the struggles that he was having prior to putting it back on.
That was something that I did sort of notice. The pivot away from some of those themes was noticeable, like around episode 5 or 6. For sure. And I am curious to know, like, how much of this is due to, like, because, they fired people, they brought new people on. And there were moments, I remember talking to some of my cousins about this, of like the tonal shift, the seriousness of some themes started to fluctuate after those first 3 episodes. And I'm wondering how much of that is because, like, you're getting 2 different visions of what they wanted the show to be about. Everything that I'm reading about that original version of Daredevil Born Again, it sounds like it was going to be an utter disaster. I'm not going to lie. I do like what they have tried to do with a few characters. Like, I like what they did with Kingpin. There's a lot that we've sort of seen about, like, his morals, where he stands with things, his relationship with Vanessa, I found interesting. Him starting to eat again and him starting to wear white suits, very symbolic of him sort of reverting back. I liked what they did with Point Dexter, which I thought was really nice. Like, somewhat of a contrast to Bucky, right? When Vanessa comes in and she's trying to, like, reel him back into this world, she says, "You're free," which is almost similar to what Io said to Bucky in Falcon Winter Soldier. But this time it's like they were ridding him of his traumatic past. So I found that kind of interesting with what they do with those characters. They are also giving Punisher like a standalone, I don't know if it's like a film or a miniseries, but he's getting more content. So I think that, spoilers, after credit scene for this sort of sets that up. Like, he'll escape that dungeon.
We'll have to see how they handle it and where they take things. But it does feel like they've simplified the show, like, a lot. I don't know.
You seem a little disappointed.
I am disappointed. I just think that it's like they didn't completely like Marvelize it because like it is different from the other Marvel projects. And I like Marvel projects. So I said, like, I still enjoyed this as just a Marvel show. I thought the quality was good and it was entertaining.
Yeah.
I just think I set myself up for expectations on like how it would stand apart from other Marvel projects in terms of like what it would try to tackle and discuss and how it would to tackle and discuss it. And now I just kind of think that they're just not going to do that. I get like it's a different show. I get it. But like you hired all of the same actors and you continued the exact same storyline. So it's not unreasonable for fans of the original show to expect you to live up to the expectations of the other show. If you wanted to do something brand new, then do something brand new. But that's not what you did.
I enjoyed it, but I do remember telling myself, like, around episode 5, I was like, whoa, something feels different. Like, I remember after the White Tiger episode in the courtroom scene and everything, I was on such a like, man, I'm locked in. I'm into this. It felt very similar to what we were getting in the Netflix version of like very human, very down to earth. The issues that they're tackling are very personal. And then the shift away from that was was a little jarring.
I do think it's interesting. They seem to have completely just written out all of the faith stuff.
Yeah, I remember someone saying in the comment section on one of our videos that that was intentional, but I don't know why they would do that, because that's like pretty important.
And that aspect of the original series was the vehicle through which they dived into a lot of these deeper themes. Like they utilized that as a way to explore Matt's psyche and why he believes the things that he believes and why he feels so conflicted. Without that, like, yeah, we're feeling the lack. And I just thought the whole season, I was like, oh, well, he can't, he has to reconcile everything before he can go back to the church, right? He has to reconcile all this internal stuff that he has going on with his feelings about Foggy and Poindexter and Daredevil and all of that stuff, so he can put back on the mask and then, whatever. But like, to be honest, he didn't reconcile any of that before he put on the mask. Like, it was just like, serial killer on the streets, gots to go. And like, there was no...
Do you think the conversation he had with Karen helped what you're describing? Because it helps for me a little bit.
I guess it helps. It does feel a little bit like exposition.
Sure.
Or, it's and that is bothersome to me, because like, you spend a lot of time building that up. So to not show us the actual process does feel kind of, but it helps. It does help.
The only other thing that I would say that I do appreciate is how they have used the element of vigilantes, because typically it's not exactly like this in Marvel, because a lot of the heroes in MCU are just sort of accepted, but generally speaking, the way that vigilantes are sort of used is like, either they are outlawed and they're sort of going out against the law and they're having to maneuvering around the government that's trying to stop them while also trying to do good, or they're just like celebrities and loved, like what we kind of see with like Thor and like Hulk. This being how they framed it as like vigilantes filling in the gaps that our justice system is failing, I found more interesting and would have liked them to explore that a little bit more, especially with the reality that New York City loves their vigilantes. Fisk just doesn't love that, because he recognizes that people like Daredevil will get in the way of him and Vanessa's plans. And so him using the government, trying to spin it narratively in a way where it can demonize the vigilantes, I like that story plot. Explore that a little bit more. And so I'm hoping we'll get more of that in season 2. Some of that in like the Spider-Man movie. I think there's going to be some tie-ins to that also, because that felt a lot more refreshing than what we've probably gotten before.
I do think that the way that they've taken the plot, I think it even flattens that a little bit, because what was fascinating about it was that, like, I mean, like the government was already like corrupt, right? Like there was corruption within the police force. We saw that, but it was not like what we're seeing now with Fisk, right?
Yeah.
What we were sort of understanding was like the government running as it normally does, right? Which, like, there is corruption in government all the time. We know that. But like the government functioning as it normally does was still failing people.
Yes.
And then you had Matt kind of in this tug of war with himself of like how best to fill that gap. And we saw him do it in both ways. We saw him do it as a lawyer, and we saw him do it like we kind of saw him do it as Daredevil, but like not really.
Sure.
But now where the plot is it's like, well, now the government is evil. Which does make it like it's just an easier conversation, because it's like very obvious. Now, I will say I liked the monologue that they had, or the narration that they had Matt doing at the end, because that does feel like a very like, hey, America, we're talking about you.
Yeah.
And your current president, and this idea of like, this place is ours, and like we can fight back. I do like that, but I feel like it does take away from that idea of like filling in the gap, because it's not a gap anymore.
Yeah,
it's just like the government's just bad. Like it's just being bad.
I understand the need to get to the point where martial law kicks in and all that. Getting there this quickly does make it feel like, damn, well, maybe we could spend just a little bit more in exploring the nuance of it. And I think that maybe was a little bit of the difference. I am comparing the buildup of 3 seasons worth of Daredevil, the payoffs, the impact, the scope and scale of everything. This is just like season 1. The scale in season 1 wasn't that great. The difference is that they were laying heavily into the social commentary of things. And so you were still left very satisfied. And I just think Netflix did just a slightly better job in that than this one.
And my issue with this season is not the scale. My issue is the story.
Yeah, I guess what I'm saying is the impact of Fisk taking over the government in season 1 feels like I would want that to be a bigger deal for me, because that is a big deal. But it didn't feel like a massive deal for me, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. That, I think, would be the difference. Like, if we were to get that maybe in season 2 a little bit more.
Like, they rushed it a little.
Yeah. But overall, we did enjoy it. I had a good time. There were a lot of high moments. I think the addition of Hector Royale was really good. Mm-hmm. Anytime Punisher was on the screen, I really liked it. I liked to see Matt in the courtroom again.
I hope they don't stop, please.
Yes.
Those episodes are so good.
Necessary, I would say.
Yeah.
Necessary. And all the acting is incredible, but it's just that, there are some inconsistencies that I still want to hold off on my reservations. But yeah, we would love to know what you guys thought about this season. Let us know in the comments below. Which one do you prefer? I think most people would probably go with Netflix, but there are some that really love Daredevil Born Again. So we'd love to hear your thoughts and feelings, maybe things that we didn't see or pick up on. Let us know in the comments below. So we do want to shift just a little bit. Apple TV gave us early access to watch their new TV series called Government Cheese. They gave us early access of the first 4 episodes. So while we are recording this, we've watched, and it comes out on April 16th. So by the time this goes up, it might already be up. But nonetheless, Government Cheese is a historical surrealist comedy drama. It's a television series created by Paul Hunter and by Ayesha Carr, and it's starring David Oyelowo. So you may remember him from being in Ava DuVernay's Selma. He portrayed Dr. King. It also has Simone Missick. It has Bokeem Woodbine, Adam Beach, and Sunita Mani. So it's set in like the 1960s, like late 1960s. We don't want to get too much into the spoilers, but it's giving like somewhat of like I want to say like Wes Anderson vibes in the way that the story is being told, the tone, the vibes. And so like, if that is the sort of story that you sort of enjoy, you might find this very entertaining. It's like a mixture of comedy and drama. And I will say the acting is like really good for the most part. So it's up on Apple TV. So we wanted to say thank you for Apple TV for giving us an opportunity to watch, to get that early screening and reviewing it. And we are encouraging you all to check it out and see for yourself if this is something that you would love and enjoy. Those are our thoughts, y'all. Thank you all so much for tuning in. We're still going to be reviewing Last of Us. Andor is coming back next week. Also, Sinners by Ryan Coogler is coming out this weekend. So if you have not watched or bought your ticket yet, please support this movie in the theaters. The way that the critics are talking about this is if this is a movie of the year. And so the only way for us to get more things like this is for us to support these movies when they actually come out. It's an original idea. It's like got essentially an ensemble cast. Ryan Coogler is a phenomenal writer and director. So please support him if you can. But yes, with that, we will see you all next time. Take care, everyone. Peace.